traded to the Lakers, and you kept 2 first-rounders. You didn't go out and make a deal in the summer just because you felt like you had to make a deal in the summer.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today. An off-season edition of Lakers Talk starts right now.
Here's Alan Sliwa.
All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. August 12th here on this Monday. We'll go for 1 hour tonight. Go till 8 o'clock talking Lakers basketball. Got a bunch of different stuff that I want to get into. Obviously, I want to talk about USA basketball winning the gold. There's an interesting article in the USA Today basically just saying that the Lakers are completely wasting LeBron's time as far as not competing for a championship. Our good buddy Mike Trudell, beat reporter for the Lakers, of course, sidelined for Spectrum Sportsnet. He's going to join in about a half hour, so we'll get into all that. Also, we are starting to get that. This is around the time, mid-August is around the time where usually everything kind of starts trickling in as far as the schedule goes. So we got some details for opening night, got some details for Christmas Day, some other matchups are going to be out there, so we'll do all that. Okay, I got to be honest here, and I said this a couple times doing the show. Typically, USA basketball is not exactly the most exciting thing to watch. What I mean by that is I already know what the result's going to be. So that doesn't mean it's not incredibly impressive to watch LeBron play with Steph, with KD, with Anthony Edwards, with Joel Embiid, with Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker. Go down the list. I mean, Jason Tatum, if he ever gets some PT. But obviously it's incredible to watch these guys play together, and that's not the part that's not interesting. The part that's not interesting typically is where there's just no competition. The semifinals and the finals were awesome. We're phenomenal. I don't think you could ask for anything more. If you're a basketball fan and all you're looking for is competition, watching them struggle against Serbia and Jokic until they did what they did in the fourth quarter, obviously storm back and figure out a way to win, was phenomenal basketball and was awesome to watch. Watching them in the finals against France, who obviously is the host city for the Olympics, or against Paris, or in Paris, but France being the host country for the Olympics, incredible, just awesome, coming down to the wire. I think Wemby hit a shot and it was within 3, and then we all know what Steph Curry did. Unbelievable. One of the greatest closing performances that I've watched, and I know this is international play, it's different, but what Steph was doing was just crazy. And as great as all these players are that are on that team, everybody's like, give Steph the damn ball and get out of the way, and that's what they were doing. Bron was basically doing a little screen and roll action with him. KD would get the ball, throw it right back to Steph. What made the semifinals and the finals unbelievable was, there were a couple players that I could point out that everybody knows. Everybody knows Nikola Jokic. Everybody knows Victor Wembanyama. Were there a couple other NBA players sprinkled in? Yes, but those are obviously the 2 main names. And the United States had to struggle to go win the gold. That's what I liked about it. That's what I enjoyed. A little bit later, we'll get into the actually USA basketball. Spend a little bit more time on it. But there's a couple things that dawned on me. One of the things I think stood out to me was the fact that, go look at that closing lineup that's in there. 80% of the players represent the Lakers or the Phoenix Suns. And I'm talking about LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. The other player was Steph Curry. What's crazy to me, and this is just kind of where I think the NBA is today, and I think this is a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's great if you're a Laker fan, a Suns fan, or a Golden State Warrior fan. But I think it's great in the sense that just how competitive the league is, how a lot of these young guns are on their way up, and this is what happens in every sport, in every business. Some of the greats start to age out, and then here comes the next crew, the next crop of players that come up. But I thought what was interesting is the Phoenix Suns swept in the first round by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Lakers losing 5 games to the Denver Nuggets. The Golden State Warriors don't even make the playoffs. And it was those 3 teams, the stars of those 3 teams, that in crunch time was representing USA. Now, I get it. There's some games Joel Embiid is out there. By the way, how far has Joel Embiid gone? It's not like, he's obviously gone out there and won an NBA championship or anything like that. He'll have a chance this year. We'll see what they do with Paul George. But I thought that part was fascinating, that look at these greats all playing together. And you know what all of them have in common? The chances of LeBron winning another championship or Anthony Davis, listen, it's going to be tough. Let's not BS each other. Of course it's going to be tough. The chances of KD and Devin Booker, I mean, we saw what that team looked like last year. Are they all of a sudden supposed to get a ton better this upcoming season? I don't think a lot of people have faith in that with Bradley Beal. And then Steph Curry showing his brilliance. The point is that all 5 of these players still got a lot left in them, it seems like, or at least, I mean, I get it. LeBron's 39, but he's still playing at an unbelievable level. I don't know if any 3 of those teams are going to be in the mix next year. Do you think they're going to be? Are we going to watch the Lakers or the the Lakers, the Suns, or the Warriors? The chances of them being in the Western Conference Finals is going to be tough, but it was a phenomenal tournament run. Certainly enjoyed those last 2 games. Loved watching I saw some video earlier today. I guess Serbia did something for the men's basketball team for ending up getting the bronze. And you got to go check it out. I mean, the video is unbelievable. The amount of fans that are there, how passionate they were, that's what they accomplished, that they medaled, they got something while they were there in France, and the entire crowd chanting MVP. You could see Wembanyama, you could see kind of his emotion towards representing his country. Tears after they won to get to the medal game, the championship game. Tears after they lost to the United States. So I love just watching all this, and I love seeing how, obviously what it means to a lot of these players and when they're representing their country. There's an article that came out on USA Today, and I thought it was interesting. Funches sent it over to me a little bit earlier. Dan Wolkin is the name. He wrote the article, USA Today. LeBron James, this is the title of the article. LeBron James was the best player at the Olympics. Shame on the Lakers for wasting his brilliance. It's like, all right, let's take a look here. I kind of wanted to see. I was curious to see, all right, what exactly, what is he getting at here that the Lakers are wasting away his brilliance? First off, we know that LeBron, whether you agreed with it or not, Steph certainly could have made a case. He won the MVP for the tournament. So LeBron was considered the best player at the Olympics, winning the tournament's MVP award. He was brilliant. He was amazing. Triple-double. Was it in the semifinal game? I think he got a triple-double. There were a lot of moments during USA basketball where USA needed a bucket. Let's go to Bron. They need a stop. You know what? LeBron raising his hand and saying, you know what, I'll guard Jokic. I mean, this is what LeBron does. I don't care how much gray he has in that beard. He's 39 years old, and he's still representing the NBA, the United States, representing his brand, his reputation. All he's doing every single day is adding to this unbelievable career. And when people want to make the case, when it's all said and done, when LeBron's career is done, okay, who's the greatest of all time? Obviously, LeBron's in that conversation, whether you want to put him at the top of that list or not. I'm not here to debate the GOAT, but he's been incredible and he's been great. But reading the article, it's basically just talking about how, look how good LeBron still is. And there's some disappointment that he can't be in an NBA Finals, and there's fingers pointed at the front office. There's fingers pointed at, look, that 47-35 record last year was 7th place in the Western Conference. They're out again, this time in the first round against Denver the year before. Obviously, they got swept by Denver. And got me thinking, have the Lakers wasted LeBron James? Have the Lakers put LeBron in a position that he can't add any further to his resume? If LeBron was trying to chase Michael Jordan for 6 NBA championships, and the chances of obviously getting there, they don't look all that good. I mean, if he found a way to get one more, that would be unbelievable, be incredible. But I go back to when LeBron first joined the Lakers, and I started thinking and I remember this because this has been now 6 seasons. This is going to be his 7th year as a Laker. I remember saying to myself, I'm like, if this dude, not even just to myself, when I was doing Lakers talk, or as I was doing Lakers time, a lot of time during the post-game show, that would be a conversation. And in my own head, I'm like, listen, if this guy wins an NBA championship, like, I don't know what else Laker fans are looking for, but if he got one here, especially kind of going through the drought that the Lakers had, mission accomplished. Anything on top of one, in my opinion, it's icing on the cake. As you go through the article, and I look at where LeBron is and where the Lakers are right now. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that the Lakers front office has been perfect. Clearly, they haven't been. Clearly, the Lakers front office also is in a kind of an interesting spot. All right, we're still trying to win right now with LeBron, but we're also trying to pay attention to our future because we understand that LeBron's 39, and if we trade every pick that we have, what the hell is the future going to look like? So Pelinka's obviously got to juggle both of these things. The Lakers have clearly accommodated LeBron James. I don't think there should be any argument out there that, well, they should allow him to do more. What else do you want the Lakers to do to accommodate to Bron? Who's the head coach of the Lakers? It's J.J. Redick. Pretty sure LeBron was okay with J.J. Redick being there. If you look back a little bit further of when they made that trade for Russell Westbrook, I'm sure LeBron was giving that thumbs up. Go ahead and trade for Russell Westbrook. You look at his son now, obviously being drafted at number 55. I think the Lakers are – I don't think there's an issue with accommodating towards LeBron James. Now, if you want to say that from a perspective of were these the right decisions, trading your picks earlier, trading at the trade deadline last year, trading your picks in the summer, I think you can make some cases of, all right, they can go even more all in than they are. But I almost feel like the Lakers and LeBron it's a business relationship first at this point. And like I said, I'll kind of go back to this. He signed his extension. He could have went somewhere else if he wanted to. But I think both sides understand that this is good for business. Now, that doesn't mean that LeBron doesn't want to still win and compete for an NBA championship, and it doesn't mean that the Lakers front office don't want to win and compete for an NBA championship. But I think everybody's probably in a position from a business perspective where it's working, and now they got to figure out how to, obviously take a team that's been hovering between 7 and 10 over the last couple of years and be much better this upcoming year, and that's going to be tough in the Western Conference. But I don't know about this whole Lakers have ruined his or they're wasting his brilliance. I think that goes both ways. And, oh, by the way, when the season starts, Bron obviously is going to do what he's doing, and it's incredible what he's still doing. But when he is playing with Kevin Durant and with Steph Curry and with Anthony Davis and with Joel Embiid and Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker and Jason Tatum, Bron also is going to look unbelievable. So is Anthony Davis, and so are all these guys. They're going to look unbelievable because they're playing with literally the best players in the world. And their competition against guys that are all these rosters, 80% of the teams that they're playing or the countries they're playing aren't NBA players. They might have 2 or 3 NBA players, but that doesn't mean they have a roster full of all-stars. So I don't know if that's the best way to look at it. Okay, NBA schedule is getting leaked out. I got a couple games I want to talk about. Opening night, Christmas Day schedule, plus Jovan Buha of The Athletic was talking about some lineups for the Lakers. And there are 2 things that kind of stuck out to me as we look forward to this upcoming year that I think the Lakers will certainly have to address. So we'll do all that coming up next. Stay right here. Mike Trudell coming up at 7:30. Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN.
Rotations, transmission care, and more. Pull up, drive in, and drive out in about 15 minutes. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations and game-winning coupons off of your next Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event is on now at Cardinale Way Hyundai. Lease a new 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe SC for only $319 a month plus tax for 36 months on approved credit. Plus, get peace of mind driving with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, and the Hyundai Assurance Program. Cardinale Way Hyundai just off the 91 freeway in the Corona Auto Center or CardinaleWayHyundai.com. Lease for $319 plus tax. License and fee to well-qualified buyers. 36-month lease. 12K miles per year. $39.99 due at signing. Not all buyers will qualify. Down payment may be required. Subject to HMF credit approval. Expires 9/03/2024.
Don't miss Trav and Slee.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. It's the Mid-Morning Spectacular.
Hey, what do you want to do? I want to play center field for the New York Yankees. I get it. I want to play shortstop for the Dodgers. Awesome. I want to umpire second base. It's insane to me.
Yeah, do it. Just don't screw it up.
No, you should never. They should have to draft prisoners to go do it. Like, nobody should want to do it. What a terrible gig.
Trav and Slee, weekdays after Unsportsmanlike.
On 710 ESPN.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
It's Lakers Talk with Alan Sliwa.
If the goal is winning an NBA championship, whether that's realistic or it's not, that's the expectation. If that's the goal, then maybe it's not glass half full, glass half empty. Maybe it's like 25% full, 75% empty.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today. More Lakers Talk with Sliwa rolls on.
Here's Alan Sliwa.
All right, we got Mike Trudell joining us in about 12 minutes or so. Trudell's going to come on, talk a little Lakers basketball with him, talking a little bit about USA basketball. We'll continue to do that. I'm going to wait a little bit on that, so myself, Funches, and DeAndre will do that during crunch time. It was fun to watch. I mean, I don't – even the other teams, even the other countries – I wasn't opposed to watching just because I didn't know what the result was going to be. USA, like I mentioned from the beginning, just because the expectations are, I think Steve Kerr says something to the effect, I heard him after they won the gold against France, and he said something to the effect of they are basically, how did he put it? Basically it's a catastrophe if they don't get gold. And the pressure that comes with that, you better get gold, and even if it's a close game, people are saying, what's going on with USA? What's wrong with them? What's wrong with this? So that just comes with the territory, but USA basketball ended up making it happen. So we got a little bit of the schedule coming out. This is, obviously we know what happens in June. You got the NBA Finals, you got the NBA Draft, and you got a lot of hype gearing up towards free agency. July 1st comes, there's a lot of chatter about, okay, are there trades? Free agency movement, all that stuff that happens. But once you get to about mid-July, it starts quieting down. It's probably quiet for a solid month or so. We got lucky this year that we had the Olympics. This is about the time that the schedules start coming out. And I don't know when the official schedule is going to come out, the full Lakers schedule, the full NBA schedule, but I know it's not that far away. So opening night, Shams Charania put this out a little bit earlier today. Opening night, 2024-2025 NBA season. TNT's got 2 games, October 22nd. Knicks at the Celtics. It'll be ring night for Boston, so obviously they'll get their NBA championship rings. They'll put up that banner, number 18, Lakers obviously at number 17. And then the second game, really, really like this matchup. The Timberwolves at the Lakers. So the Minnesota Timberwolves will start the season out on the road. They'll take on the Los Angeles Lakers. I think one of the more exciting players to watch in the NBA right now is Anthony Edwards. It's going to be great competition to start. And this is new. This is different. Like a lot of the times, I feel like the Lakers are opening up the season. I feel like there's a lot of – it's always the Golden State Warriors. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who they had last year. But I feel like it's a lot of the same opponents. This is fresh. This is different. And this is a player that is getting more and more on the national map because he's that good and he's that young, and I'm talking about Anthony Edwards. So Jalen Brunson, you get a little bit earlier. Obviously, you get the Knicks and the Celtics, and then the Lakers will take on Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, Christmas Day schedule. This is another piece that came out as far as schedule goes. And I won't spend too much time on some of the other teams, but this is the schedule that they put out there. Love this. The first game, usually it's the Knicks and the Celtics, or it's usually the Knicks and the Miami Heat. They're going San Antonio Spurs at the New York Knicks. So you go Victor Wembanyama taking on the New York Knicks. Again, if there's one thing that the NBA has to do right now, get these young stars that you have and get them as much exposure as possible. And they're going to clearly try to do that with Wemby. So that's going to be the first game. Then you got the Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. That was your Western Conference Finals, so you get a lot of young stars in that one. Anthony Edwards against Luka. Philly at Boston. Those might be the two best teams in the East. Paul George, obviously now part of the Philadelphia 76ers. And then here's one that, gotta be honest with you, I'm not that crazy about. I feel like, but I get it. I understand why they do it. It's Lakers at Warriors. I feel like the Lakers at Warriors, we've seen this premier game so many times, but that Warriors team is different. It is LeBron James and Steph Curry. I don't care what their age is. They're still obviously a big part of the NBA. And then they'll close it out. Denver Nuggets at the Phoenix Suns. So those are going to be the 5 games. Again, Shams Charania put this out a little bit earlier, and I'm sure sooner than later we're going to have the full schedule. But that's where we are as far as some of the first a couple of games for the Lakers, and like I mentioned, opening day and Christmas as well. I saw this a little bit earlier, and I don't want to make too big of a deal about it, but I think it's an interesting quote. So Patrick Beverley, obviously, we'll see. I don't even know if he's signed with an NBA team right now, but Patrick Beverley, who does his podcast. He was on a different podcast, the OG's podcast, which is a couple of these former Miami Heat players. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think it's Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem, I believe. Anyways, that podcast, he was on one of the podcasts, and I thought this was interesting. They were asking him about J.J. Redick and trying to kind of get his gauge on what he thought of J.J. Redick in the NBA. Listen, if there's, as much as we look at the Lakers this upcoming year, and you might say, hey, are LeBron and Anthony Davis going to be healthy like they were this past season? Fair question. Hey, is D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Austin Reeves, is that enough to go really make a run with LeBron and Anthony Davis? Is the Lakers' depth enough? How much is Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent going to be able to help? Is Max Christie going to be? You could ask all those questions, but you know what could be on the top of that list is J.J. Redick an NBA coach? How are we supposed to know if J.J. Redick is an NBA coach? I got no way of telling. I mean, he never coached on the college level, never coached in the NBA level, didn't come through an assistant farm system like a lot of these other coaches do. So that's a fair question to have before even the season starts, before we get even anywhere close to the season starting, having the question about J.J. Redick. Pat Bev on that podcast, I want to read what he said because there's a couple things that came out that I think were interesting and I think definitely are worth discussing. So here's what he said. Pat Bev said, I think he's firm. And if you're a firm coach, you have success. That's how Spo was. He's talking about Eric Spoelstra. I'm not comparing J.J. Redick to Spoelstra. I'm not doing that. But Spo was firm. In the way Spo talked to me, he talked to Bron the same way. So I couldn't even have no room for error. I witnessed him saying the same thing to Dwayne Wade and the same thing to Braun. A firm coach in the NBA is a successful coach. I'll tell you kind of why that stood out to me. In the beginning when I read it, okay, I didn't really pay too much attention to it. But I think what Patrick Beverley is trying to say is whether you're a role player like Patrick Beverley or you're arguably the greatest player to ever play the game in LeBron James, I'm going to say what's on my mind to that role player that's sitting on the bench and may give me 15 minutes a game. And I'm going to also say the same thing to one of the greatest to ever play. That stood out to me. And I think the comp that he's trying to make in the comparison is that's how Eric Spoelstra is. If you guys remember Eric Spoelstra's first year, and Dwayne Wade is having some kind of argument with Spoelstra on the sidelines, and everybody's like, yeah, Spoelstra's, that dude ain't going to make it through the season. Or if he gets through the season, he's not going to coach after that. And there stood Pat Riley basically saying, yeah, LeBron, cool. Dwayne Wade, yeah, you're awesome. You're a Miami Heat for life. That's your head coach, whether you like it or not. Eric Spoelstra is your head coach. And what ended up happening, basically everybody agrees, top 2, top 3 head coach in the NBA. Everybody thinks it's Eric Spoelstra. And I'm not trying to make that case, but I think what Patrick Beverley is saying is a good sign for J.J. Redick. A lot of times, I'm sure in any business, do your coworkers respect your boss? Because if they don't respect your boss, you're in some trouble if you're a boss. If you're a manager or you're a CEO or you're a president or whatever your role is. On an NBA team, I'm sure it's a lot like this, or a lot like this in sports as well. If your players respect the coach, okay, yeah, we understand where he's coming from. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, here's what can also happen, and this obviously can hurt J.J. Redick. If you're in predicaments and situations where they just don't believe you're making the right decision, well, they might even respect you. You might even be firm, but your words might not have the weight that they're supposed to have. But I do think that's of all the things that you can look at and all the questions you have about J.J. Redick, a guy like Patrick Beverley has been in the league for a long time, has been coached by multiple coaches, obviously has bounced around from team to team. That, to me, is a good quote for J.J. Redick. That, to me, is a good sign for J.J. Redick. He's going to be firm, and he's got no problem telling the star one thing and then walking over to the role player and saying the same thing, or, flip that. He'll tell the role player one thing, and then he'll walk up to the star and tell him the same thing. So I do like that quote. Again, we're going to have to figure out what happens once the season starts, but I do think that's a good sign there, and that's coming from Pat Bev on one of those podcasts, like I mentioned, the OG's podcast. Okay, and we come back. Mike Trudell is going to join us. We'll talk a little Lakers hoops, get his thoughts on Team USA as well, and we'll continue talking Lakers basketball. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Stay right here. Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN.
Possible results after an accident? Call my guy, Uncle Artie, at Pernia Law. And there's never any upfront fees. They collect when you collect. And for the record, their win-loss record puts them in the top of the standings. That's 844-DIAL-UNC. That's 844-DIAL-UNC.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
It's a key ingredient called Tesnor. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. Total T is backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text FORCE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text FORCE to 42424. That's FORCE to 42424. Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Lakers Talk with Alan Slewa.
Nobody talks Lakers like Alan Slewa on Lakers Talk.
Literally about 2 months, you'll be in the middle of training camp. 2.5 months, Lakers season will start. LeBron, AD, D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, those are kind of your key players. Yeah, throw in Jared Vanderbilt, so throw some other Gabe Vincent if you want to throw in as well. Really, the only improvements that the Lakers made this offseason was getting their players back.
Another edition of Lakers Talk continues. Presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Alan Slewa.
We're going to have Mike Trudell joining us here in just a second or so. If you're just tuning in right now, opening night has been announced. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Shams Charania had sent out a tweet. Opening night's going to be October 22nd, TNT game. Lakers hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that should be fun. Get a chance to see Anthony Edwards, a team that looked great during the playoffs last year. Of course, lost to the Dallas Mavericks. Lakers will have right out the gate, no surprise here, some tough competition in the Western Conference. All right, let's welcome in Mike Trudell, beat reporter for the Lakers, of course, sideline for Spectrum Sportsnet. Mike, what's going on, brother? How's your summer going?
Oh, Slewa, I'm doing well, especially when Funches played me in with that great Tupac track, taking me back to Thompson Trudell days.
There you go.
I always appreciate Funchy pulling the strings back there. How you doing,
Slewa? That's what Funches does. He makes it happen there. I'm doing good. I know, it kind of helped having some USA basketball for all of us. We got a chance to watch some great basketball. Let me start off with that. You're as big of a basketball fan as anybody out there, and here you are. You're getting a chance. Semifinal game against Serbia, the final game against France. Great basketball, great quality basketball. I know it's different in international play. You're only running 10-minute quarters. The goaltending rules, I felt like the pace was great. Just what was your some of your takeaways from watching USA basketball take the gold?
Yeah, it's always a fascinating thing to watch the clearly more talented team in the U.S. that has pretty much everything it needs, skill, size, whatever, going against these teams that have the edge in terms of cohesion and knowledge of each other, and that unmistakable feeling of being the underdog and, fighting uphill, and so all of those kind of convolute to make these games, I think, tighter than people sometimes expect. But like whenever you start the Olympic period or any international tournament like this, you just have to look at it a little bit differently and think that like one of these days, even with our best players in America, there will be a loss to one of these teams like this. And whether it's because of Jokic being the one guy that is just so dominant that it really does take a couple of extra luck from a shooting perspective or something like that, like what Steph Curry put in. And of course, you can't call Steph Curry hitting threes luck. Anthony Davis and LeBron James, just to keep this Los Angeles Lakers centric, right? Like what they were able to do to me was so impressive in that both of them can dominate in different ways in the basketball from a number one scorer standpoint. And I thought that really was something, Slewa, that lasted throughout the tournament. And like to just bring Anthony Davis under a little bit more focus, because LeBron, how can you even what can you even say? To still be dominating at this point, still be the MVP of the tournament as he's about to enter his 22nd NBA season, it's just absurd. But Anthony Davis is the one that I think is just as interesting, because clearly the team was better when AD was on the floor. Embiid being there on the team and kind of, not going to play for France and, wanting to try to find a way to fit him in as a starter. But other than that great moment in the fourth quarter against Serbia for Embiid, Anthony Davis was the guy that they not only went to, but of course needed to go to, because he is so good at so many things without having to go and get his own. And this is a guy who was 15th in the NBA in scoring. So that's just one thing that stood out to me, a reminder to anybody else that kind of has watched the Lakers over the years and thought, why do the Lakers get so much buzz? And like, what does Anthony Davis do? Where does he fall in the pecking order of the league? And the answer is in the top 7. You know, like this is not a role player, just defensive big. Like this is a guy that has so many things going for him and helps his team win every time he gets out there. And so that was from my Laker brain, Sleva, that was what I was focusing on, which is sort of like AD once again proving it on a big stage. And then with everything else on top of that, of course, coming home to this country with the gold medal.
Well, Mike, listen, I think it's fair too on the Anthony Davis front. And, you know, one of the things, if you look at any of these players that were either representing USA or just look at the international competition that was out there, AD and Michael and I would talk about it when he wouldn't win Defensive Player of the Year or he wasn't top 3 in the award. I remember telling Michael, one of the pregame shows, I'm like, Michael, why'd they do a best two-way player in the league? Like that first off, think about the pride of having somebody that is not just, I'm going to get mine, or somebody that, you know, unless you score 30 points, then your name's not going to get recognized. There were a lot of times in using USA basketball as an example where he'd play 18 minutes, but he had 4 or 5 blocks, and he was impacting the game, obviously, the way he does defensively. I think you said something where he does not need the ball to be effective. You don't have to run things through him to be effective. With that being said, you know, as we do get ready for the 2024-2025 season, and like you were talking about, I don't even know what else to say about LeBron James other than the fact that he's 39. He'll be 40 before we get to this year ending. And obviously there's only so much that he can do, even though I feel like I've been saying that now for years. What would you like to see from Anthony Davis? Are there other things, either part of his game or being more aggressive or are there things that you're hoping for that AD can add to whatever he's doing for the Lakers on a night-in, night-out basis?
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to try and consider what's the most optimized way to have success around two players like LeBron and AD that are both unique in many ways. And in LeBron, it's this, you know, this just all that he's been throughout his career and still being able to access that for most games, right? To still be able to climb to the top of the mountaintop and be the best player on the floor. And most any time that he sets his mind to it. And then you have Anthony Davis, who has kind of come in alongside LeBron to accentuate and to help out and to cover some of the things that at that age, you know, LeBron isn't doing quite at that same level as he did early in his career. And whether that's like protecting the rim, right, or just rotating out up to the perimeter, like all of these things that he does do, but AD can help kind of take that burden. And if you look at, so FIBA basketball and Team USA, they keep track of something they just call efficiency, like EFF, and you have to go other places to get like plus minus and the type of stats that we have available for the NBA. But LeBron and AD were number 1 and number 2 on Team USA. And that's partly because like LeBron from the field shot 66% for the tournament.
Yep.
And AD shot 63%. And so that was now I think the unique thing about Team USA, they have so much ridiculous elite alpha scoring, and whether it's Steph Curry or Kevin Durant or Devin Booker, like on and on down the list, so many guys who can not just create their own shot, but just can catch and shoot. And so when you now translate that over to the Lakers, so the Lakers also have some elite scoring in terms of the relative to the basketball world, but like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves and even Rui Hachimura, all really good, talented offensive scorers. Of course, they're not quite to that level, you know, of Kevin Durant, who is, or you know, even if you are going to bring like a Halliburton guy who didn't play off the bench, like that type of talent. Russell's close there, but so when LeBron and AD thus have to increase their scoring load and they have to do more on that side of the court in terms of creating, like then do they have as much left for defense and all of the type of things that they were able to be like the greatest role players in the world at certain times if Steph or KD are going off? That, Alan, is where I kind of come back to thinking about this Lakers roster and the approach there. And, you know, for the most part, like it's been a really successful stint, minus the trade for Russ obviously set things back a little bit in terms of what the fit was going to be. But before the trade, they win the title. And then after, they get to the Western Conference Finals. And the one player, the one team that they couldn't get past, even though they almost did in so many of those crunch time games, was Denver and Nikola Jokic. He's like the one guy who you can't just focus on kind of LeBron and AD being able to conquer in a series. And that's just the interesting part to me, where it almost makes you think that, like, the way that the Lakers lost to Denver in the conference finals 2 years ago and the way that they lost to them this year, if you remove Denver and Jokic, like, how many of other teams in the West would you have picked to beat LeBron and AD in a playoff series, which is the LeBron and AD that we saw for Team USA, even if doing other things? And I know I put a lot on the table there, but that's sort of the holistic way that I look at this and what they're like and who their teammates need to be and what you're asking them to do.
Mike Trudell, beat reporter for the Lakers, of course, sideline for Spectrum Sports, and as well taking some time to join us here on Lakers Talk. Mike, it kind of leads me to this upcoming season, and no flashy moves for the Lakers. Obviously, Dalton Connect, Bronny James, they draft. For the most part, there's going to be hopefully some net positives in just the mere fact that Vando and Gabe Vincent will get more opportunities just based off of the injuries that they had. Max Christie, hopefully he's got a player that gets more opportunities. It's a new head coach in J.J. Redick. Just what do you make of the offseason that the Lakers had, and how do they find themselves back in the mix? Like you just mentioned, it was a little bit over a year ago that they get to the Western Conference Finals. What the roster and how they could become just in a better position to compete in the West?
Yeah, so I mean, this is what's so interesting about this team, is that the Lakers did compete in the West last year. It's just that the West is ridiculously loaded, and it's going to get more loaded this year. Whereas I think there are probably 13 pretty good basketball teams. The only teams that aren't trying to be good, Portland and Utah. Because San Antonio is going to be better. They get Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes. They add that to Wemby in year 2. Like, they're going to be tougher to beat. Houston is taking another step forward. Just even a team that didn't make the playoffs in Sacramento is at least a good, challenging team to beat on a night-to-night basis. Even if I don't like that.
Memphis with Ja Morant coming back.
Dude, Memphis was the 2 seed the two previous years when they were healthy. So, like, they're coming. So, to me, it's not so much about like the way that the Lakers are evaluated is as if they weren't a 47-win team, last year that has LeBron in year 21 last year, and can clearly ramp things up on nights that they're focused upon winning. And the example I think of that was last year's NBA Cup, or I guess it's going to be the Emirates Cup this year. Like, when you saw, okay, we got to win this game, you get the LeBron that you saw in the gold medal game. You get the Anthony Davis that you saw. And that team, the only team that's really been able to beat that team consistently, other than whatever reason Sacramento last year, and we can spend some time on that later. But I don't mean tonight. But Denver is the one team, right? Jokic kind of like was the kryptonite, and then Jamal Murray hitting those shots. So, like, it's a very good team. They have a lot of guys who they know what they do. They know what Reeves does. They know what Russell does now. They know what Hachimura does. To me, Alan, where the upside is in this team is a couple of places. One, Vanderbilt and Vincent. Like, they were just injured for almost all last year. They're good players. Like, these are good defensively focused players. And I think too often in the regular season last year, you had LeBron and AD playing next to guys whose best skill was on the offensive side of the court. And that team's good enough to win many nights. But I think if you have a Vincent and a Vanderbilt to do more on the defensive end, then things become a little bit easier for LeBron and AD, and maybe that adds a couple of wins to the docket. So that's one thing. You have to look at them almost as additions, almost like free agent additions relative to last year. And then what Redick does, I'm optimistic about that. Like, I've been very impressed with what I've seen so far from Redick. That adds something from what was going with the team last year. And then, once you figure that element out, maybe there is something at the trade deadline that you can do like you did a couple of years ago, to try and get over the top if you feel like the team is close enough to winning. So that's the long answer, Sliwa. But the short one is you get some Vincent, some Vanderbilt, see what they add. You get Redick coaching in, and then you see if you're close enough to kind of really make that big push at the deadline if you're missing out in a key area or two.
Mike, final one. I appreciate you hanging out. What you were just talking about with the West, and you were just naming off all these teams that were towards the bottom half or didn't even make the playoffs. Who do you think, coming into the season, best team in the Western Conference? If you had to pick one team right now, who's the one that you're looking at saying, okay, yeah, everything's going to run through them?
So this is what when you talk about the NBA like this, it's a little bit like what I mentioned earlier, and when we're listing off the top 10 players or like the All-NBA first team, the All-NBA second team, and sometimes like I think AD is further down that list than he should be, and where LeBron, from a regular season standpoint, like all of 82 games, so a lot of people are going to put him below Jason Tatum, but as we just saw, like if you're trying to win a playoff series, it's not particularly close as to which player is going to have a more direct impact in that kind of a game. So to move the Lakers over into that conversation then, and sort of like what's going to happen with the team there and who could potentially go down, OKC to me is the team that is going to be at the top of the regular season win total type thing, right? Great depth, great youth, great health, versatility. They add a couple of guys, key players like Hartenstein, and we know about Alex Caruso, right? They add those guys without losing anything. That to me signifies a lot of wins on a night-to-night basis in the regular season. Now, when you get down to a playoff series, though, and you've got Anthony Davis and LeBron, and like we'll see, that's a long ways away. But like that would be an interesting series. Like that's going to be one of those where, okay, is there the player that really punishes them in a way that AD and LeBron can't help some? Like, Shea does it on the perimeter. The Lakers haven't really been beaten by a more perimeter-based drive and kick attack. So, but if you're just asking me, give me one team that's going to win the most regular season games in the West, I'll give you OKC.
Great stuff, buddy. It's crazy, right? 2 years ago, just kind of thinking about that, it doesn't sound crazy anymore. Obviously, they were the number 1 seed last year. They got better in the offseason with a couple moves that they made, but OKC is going to be a problem for years to come. Mike, appreciate you hanging out, bud. Thank you for doing this.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. See you, Funchy.
All right, that is Mike Trudell right there. Speaking of Funchy, he's coming up next. Him and DeAndre, we're going to do a little crunch time. Stay right here. Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN.
There's nothing like NHL hockey, LA Kings hockey on 710 ESPN. Welcome to the family.
Brand new partnership. We're excited to have the Kings right here, the home of the Los Angeles Kings. And Trav, now I just need an invitation to go catch a game.
You have been giving you one forever. Now you have to
cross the street. Now it's across the street.
Go Kings, go!
Go Kings, go!
The Kings are back on 710 ESPN. Believe it or not, I did pregame for the Kings 25 years ago. Damn, I'm old. Luke Robitaille, the rest of the Kings organization couldn't be more excited. Go Kings, go!
Go Kings, go. Nothing like live hockey. Nothing like seeing it in person. Nothing like watching it on TV. Nothing like listening to it on the radio. And we've got them on ESPN LA. Go Kings, go.
We're so excited. The LA Kings have found a new home right here on 710 ESPN. Can't wait to see you on the ice.
I want to congratulate the LA Kings. You are now on the greatest sports radio station in America, 710. And guess what? Now I get to be one of the ice girls at a Kings game. Go Kings, go. Go Kings, go. Go Kings, go.
This is Crunch Time.
Funch is going to throw a couple NBA stories my way, and me, Funches, and DeAndre are going to talk a little bit about it.
What's up, Slee? Here's Slee and producer Michael Funches.
All right, of course, we do in every show. Got a little crunch time, talk a little NBA here. Michael is going to join us. DeAndre going to join us. What's going on, fellas?
Yo, can I just play something real quick, man? Just a little. Yeah. It's Steph Curry killing France. And the dude's talking French.
I think I saw this on Twitter. What are you supposed to say?
My favorite thing that they said was like the devil Curry is killing us right now or something like that.
Okay, how about this? I
Curry is killing us right now.
I gave my opinion on, obviously the semifinal game and the final game. Funch, why don't we start with you and DeAndre? You jump in as well. What'd you guys make of those final two? They could have lost either one of those games. Now, I think most people, obviously felt like they would eventually pull it out, but
I thought they were gonna lose against Serbia because they were down by 13 points going to the fourth quarter of a 10-minute quarter. So
right. Not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time, and they can muck it up a little bit and get to the line and whatever. But they came out against Serbia. Steph Curry again, like the hero for the last two games. Yeah. You got to give it to Steph Curry.
There's a few of them had the game against Serbia. You had KD kind of had a couple of moments.
Yeah,
Curry throughout the game had moments. Embiid in the fourth quarter was doing his thing. It was
LeBron.
I wasn't expecting that. Bron doing his thing. I mean, but nobody really just expected the games. DeAndre, did you think going into these final two games, you think either one of them were going to be close?
I ran into the main studio when you guys were doing Travis and
Slee. Right before the game.
Right before the game, and I was like, Slee, man, what's going on? And then halftime comes and they're down by they were down by double digits, and then
10, 12, something like
10,
that.
12, something like that. And me and you were going back and forth during the break, and then Travis texted me after the game like, oh, hey, look, man, there's no need to worry. So, me personally, I was worried that they were going to lose that game because, when it gets to like that and, adversity hits. So, they responded really well.
I like the close games. By the way, I'll take that all day long. I think what I'm just as impressed with, it really wasn't. Listen, United States winning the gold, that's not impressive. They're supposed to. But Jokic almost carrying his squad against all these other USA players, unbelievable.
Bogdanovic
too.
You're right, 100% Bogdanovic. They had a couple other players as well. The French for Wemby and a couple of the players that they had as well. It's like, damn, Wemby at age 20 looks like he's not afraid of the moment. He's not worried that there's KD and LeBron and Steph and all these other.
And you
dudes.
know what he said after the game, right? He said that he's scared for his future opponents because he's just getting better. And the reporter asked him, FIBA or NBA? And he said, everywhere, the whole world. They better put him on notice that he's coming.
Okay, take those warnings there. I like that.
And you know what?
I'll
say this. I had a moment
and
crying.
He backs it up.
I was crying with Victor, too, when he lost because just to see that he had the weight of France on his shoulders.
Sure.
His young shoulders, and he couldn't get it done. And, he just –
No, listen, you go ahead and call me un-American if you want. I'm watching these underdogs. How can you not be rooting for them?
Exactly.
I don't know. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Did you guys see the video of Serbia – the Serbian national team getting welcomed back home? They did like a whole thing for them for getting the bronze. Did you guys see that video?
Yes.
What am I watching there? What am I watching?
Just partying, man.
Partying, man.
That's incredible.
They won the gold.
That's what. But that's what it is for some of these countries.
Well,
this is 5 Olympics in a row. USA has won the gold. I think for women it's 8 in a row.
Yeah,
like
8 in a row. 8 in a row for
this
women.
is just what the United States does, and anytime these other countries are in it, it's interesting.
Well, I think Serbia was not expected to do anything because if you saw the other rosters for the other countries like Canada or whatever,
Germany,
Canada.
Germany.
You wouldn't think that Serbia was going to place at all. So,
what else you got there?
So, we're talking about Olympics and everything. I say we should put together the 2028 team. I got some names here.
2028 USA basketball team. Okay.
Obviously, we got no Steph. We got no LeBron. I've heard a rumor that KD could make his last tour in 2028. But
what's KD right now?
What's that?
How old is Kevin Durant right now?
34, 35 now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if LeBron's 39 right now making his last tour.
He's 35 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why can't Kevin Durant make this last tour in 2028? Which, I mean...
Just think about it for a quick second. That's 4 years from now, and KD's missed a lot of time with some of his injuries.
That's true.
What LeBron's doing, I'd love to just say, oh, well, LeBron did it, but I don't think you got anybody that – we might be sitting here for 20 years and saying, yeah, nobody's done it since LeBron. Okay, so we're trying to put together a roster.
Yeah, so let me give you some names, and you tell me if they make the team or if they're off the team.
So we'll just say yes or no on the players.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ja Morant.
Ja Morant on the USA basketball team.
I think
trying
we need
to think
him.
Of my
I think
other
we need him in
guards.
2028.
Trying to think of the other guards. Yeah, put him on there.
Yeah, I'll go through the other guards right now.
Okay.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrese Maxey.
Okay.
Tyrese Maxey could be there. Donovan Mitchell. Anthony Edwards.
Okay, that crop right there. Give me Anthony Edwards. Who's the other guard that we're putting on there? Why do I want Tyrese Maxey? Do I want Maxey over Ja? I don't know if I could do that.
I do want Halliburton there because he's been there already. Kind of knows the process.
Yeah, no, he sat like we all did. But
no.
Who you take, DeAndre? Who you putting on that list of those?
Out of those guards, give me Ja, give me Halliburton, like he said, experience. And
what about Anthony Edwards? Obviously, he's on.
Anthony Edwards,
the best player about
of course. But I mean, what about? I mean, I see Mitchell's on the list. I mean, Mitchell's. He's a guy that can create his own buckets, but
But can I tell you something? Just think about the guys we just mentioned. It's no disrespect to any of them, but 2028 is going to probably be a beatable team. You're taking out. I don't know what Embiid is going to do. You're taking out LeBron. You're taking out Steph. You're taking out Kevin Durant. Like taking out those guys. Now think about how critical those three players were on this run, and think about these other countries are not that far away, and they play team ball. It's not just accruing talent; it's also having the right talent.
All right, so let's go to the forwards. We got Devin Booker, Paolo Banchero, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Zion Williamson. Who do you think out of that bunch right there?
All right, Tatum and Brown, I think, are on there.
Definitely,
no question about
it. Booker's got to be on there too.
Booker's on there. I like Paolo too.
I don't know.
That dude's going to be a stud.
But I like Zion too. There's no matchup for him.
But the injury history, like Slee said, with KD,
I take Paolo over Zion.
That's true, and he's a better passer too. Mm-hmm. So I guess you're going to go Devin Booker, Paolo, and Tatum and Brown.
Okay, right. I'm going to go back to it. Beatable. It's a beatable team.
All right, well, let's go to the big men real quick.
Okay.
We got Bam, Cooper Flagg, the kid from Duke, who everyone says is going to be the next KG or whatever.
Okay.
Chet Holmgren, and our Anthony Davis.
AD and Bam.
Yeah.
And if you got space for Chet, if you got space for Chet, throw Chet on there too.
That's what I say too.
Just because you need some size, and
he'll
actually
shoot the ball.
His size, his. I feel like his play would do really well in international play as well.
How old is AD right now?
32, 30. No, 31. He's 31 years old.
Oh, he'll definitely be there in
35.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll definitely be there. Okay. Anything else there, Funches?
No. That's it, man. We got one more minute into the show, so let's wrap it up.
All right. The only other thing that we were going to mention, Lauri Markkanen did sign that 5-year, $238 million extension. So if there were any Laker fans out there, not that I think there were many, I think more people thought he might end up going to the Golden State Warriors. He's not going anywhere, and he can't get traded this year. So this year he's going to be on the Utah Jazz. He'll start a 5-year contract. So basically that guy's going to go back on the market in probably next summer is when he'll be back on the market. I don't think the Utah Jazz are certainly trying to win any games. Other than that, I think by the time we do our show next week, we're going to have probably – we'll see if the full schedule is out for the Lakers. So something to keep in mind there. And obviously anything NBA related, we're going to handle that as well. A quick shout-out here. Thank you to Mike Trudell, obviously with his busy schedule, family, and everything else, taking some time to join the show. So I greatly appreciate that. Michael Funches, Mario Ruiz, DeAndre Hawkins, Graham, who took care of everything on YouTube as well. Thank you all for your help.